Okay, before we begin, sometimes we see the life of the Buddha, whether it is important or not, sometimes these are all like fairy tales, like what I was just reminiscing with Brother Calvin just now, We hear about the Buddha walking 7 steps when he was born and declaring that he'll be the elder of the world, So things like that, But how important is it to your life, So what we will do is we will actually trim all these to benefit us today, lah. Uh, so briefly, the life of the Buddha is to inspire us, lah. See, when I was talking to Brother Calvin again, I can see on the screen just now you were saying that, wow, they admire that I got so many classes. Actually, almost every day I'm involved in some teachings or, chanting and all that. So he said they admire my stamina. I say, yes, there were times when I also felt that I should give up. It can be taxing. But then I would reflect on it. If the Buddha has thought like that, if the Buddha thought like that, that means the Dhamma would not have reached us, If the Buddha says, I think I need a break already, you know. So the Dhamma would not have reached us. So that is my inspiration, inspiration from the Buddha, from the life of the Buddha. For 45 years, the Buddha got no annual leave. For 45 years, he's locked. So that is actually the inspiration. So that's why I continue to do although as much as of course I do take my breaks I'm not like the Buddha I still go for holidays and all that Okay, so briefly we will say that the life of the Buddha, if you study carefully, it will inspire us So that is the significance of learning the life of the Buddha. That is very important. Okay, and then for Buddhists, throughout the life of the Buddha and his teachings, you see, if you view carefully again, you see, we will experience that the Buddha's source of wisdom, his enlightenment came through his perseverance and his discipline. We will notice that. So this is important that we know that this wisdom God is through perseverance and his discipline. So you see, the Buddha was born some 2,500 years ago during the time of the Brahmanic period, So at that time, they were more focused on faith and devotional worship to their creator God, the Brahma, which actually the Buddha didn't agree. Many, not only the Buddhas, there was a group of all these kind of people who don't agree, the ascetics, they're called the Samana movement. In Pali, we say Samana, in Sanskrit, Sramana. So this movement were anti this kind of Brahmanic belief, whereby only the priest can contact the God, has got direct link to the God. He knows God's phone number, he knows the code and all that. He can talk to the God. We cannot. You see, so those days were like that. Only the Brahmanic priest can have access to the Creator God. So all your offering must go to him. So this was the culture then. So we must know this briefly. Although actually I can spend one lesson on this, but I think time may not allow. So briefly we will know that during the time that the Buddha was born, there was this Brahmanic system whereby they only praise God and they sing song to praise God, all devotional practices, and the Brahmanic priests are the only one that can receive offerings on behalf of his God. This was not acceptable to many people. So many of them left the home to go to the forest to try to seek the truth. What is this all about? Whether it's correct or not. So they were called the Samana movement or Sramana movement. Okay, so this is briefly to introduce to you, and that is why you have the Buddha as an ascetic. So that was a common practice then. So the Buddha eventually, when he was enlightened, he taught a radically different method. His message was different. His message was focusing more on the change of our lifestyle. We change our lifestyle. We restrain ourselves to a lot of extra or the sensory, sensual pleasures. We restrain. Not give up, not completely forbidden. We just try to restrain, don't overeat in short. Don't oversleep in short. Don't overindulge in these sensual pleasures. So that was his basis of teaching. And then we will also cover a little bit of the events, like the important events in the Buddha's life. We have shortlisted to about 8 of them, but again, maybe we will cover the 8 of them definitely lah somewhere. We'll talk about the birth of the Buddha. We'll talk about the enlightenment of the Buddha, his first sermon. That's very important. Of course, sometimes the monkey offering of honey to him, and then the taming of Nalagiri, the elephant and the drunken elephant, and when he descended from Tavatimsa heaven, and the miracle at Sravasti, and of course, last but not least, is Mahaparinibbana. So we will at least cover these 8 events briefly so that we understand, and this will help you to understand the Dhamma better. You need to have some historical background to understand the Dhamma. Otherwise, it will be quite difficult. And also, we will do on the 9 qualities of the Buddha. The Buddha's 9 qualities are put into my section, but they have removed the history of Buddhism from me, where the council are removed and put somewhere else. But they are in section 1. Okay. Okay, so with that, I think, is there any question before I go on I'm sharing? Yeah, many of you all have not switched on your video. If you can, if it's convenient for you, you can do that lah. It's easier for us to talk to you lah. Okay. Okay, you can see my screen now, isn't it? Okay, so we'll start with lesson 1, the life of the Buddha. I won't be able to see you all because if I'm doing my screen sharing, then your image becomes very small. I won't be able to see all in a glance. So if there are any questions, you just interrupt lah, because I won't be able to see you raising hands and all those things lah. I won't be able to see you raise hands. So if there's any question, just interrupt. We will accept that. Don't worry. So we will start with the life of the Buddha. How do I get rid of this part? Hold on. There are some controversies, I know. You can interrupt me, don't worry. Okay, we will start our life of the Buddha from the book. We are always referring to the book called The Buddha and His Teachings. For the higher syllabus, we will base on the Buddha and his teachings, and also your senior level, we also based on this. Okay, so the book, The Buddha and His Teachings, will be a Bible for the exam. So we start with the period of Dipankara Buddha. If you refer to the 28 Buddhas, 28 Buddhas is number 4, number 4 from the first, from the beginning. So Buddha was born then, Prince Siddhartha was born then at Sumedha. You see the word Sumedha here, correct? Wait, what happened? Oh. Okay. So Sumedha, so we are talking about Sumedha. So he was actually born as Sumedha. Prince Siddhartha, many eons ago, he was born as Sumedha. So our life history of the Buddha starts from here, whereby he was born during the period of Buddha Dipankara. That's the 4th or 28th Buddha. If you can recite the 28th Buddha Puja, he's the number 4 there. So Sumedha, one day, he heard that the Buddha was coming that way, and he volunteered to repair the road, make sure the road is conducive for the Buddha. However, he did not finish it on time. So what happened? So Sumedha laid his body down on an unfinished road for Dipankara Buddha and his entourage to pass, because he couldn't finish it on time and the Buddha came by. He had no choice, but he laid his body down and let the Buddha and his entourage walk over his body because the road is not ready. You can see that it's still muddy there. Then Sumedha vowed, he made a vow. He made a vow that he wants to be a Samma Sambuddha, because he is inspired by Dipankara Buddha. Dipankara Buddha at that time was doing a lot of teachings, and Sumedha is very, very inspired by him, and he wants also to be a Sammasambuddha. Then Buddha Dipankara predicted that he will become the Buddha after the Kassapa Buddha, after the 27th Buddha. Okay? Now, having heard this little bit of things here and there, okay, do you all know the difference between an Arahant, or we call it an Arahat? Huh? Arahat is a Pali word. Arahant is a Sanskrit word. However, it is more popularly used Arahant. Yeah, it's more popular like Dharma and Nirvana. Those are all Sanskrit words. For us, it is Nibbana and Nibbana. But however, these are more popular, more widely used, so we can use them. Fine. Huh? So, what is the difference between an Arahat, a Pacceka Buddha, and a Samma Sambuddha? Anybody wants to help us? Before we move further, anybody want to help us? Maybe I will get Brother Calvin to help us now. What do you know by us Arahat? What do you know by what do you know by Pacceka Buddha? What do you understand by Samma Sambuddha? Maybe Brother Calvin can tell us on the Arahat. The next person can tell us what is the Pacceka Buddha, and the third.
Arahat Buddha. Arahat is commonly also known as student Buddha. That means he is a student of the Buddha. He gained enlightenment through the teaching, the guidance of the awakening Buddha. Sammasambuddha is the perfectly enlightened Buddha who also very popularly known as awakening Buddha, perfectly enlightened. On his own, he realized enlightenment by himself. He has no teacher, no guidance. Everything on his own, he realized enlightenment. So in between Arahat, a student Buddha, and a perfectly enlightened Buddha, you have Pacceka Buddha, who is in between these two categories, and he himself, unaided, no teacher, no guidance, he gained enlightenment on his own. The difference is Pacceka Buddha has no opportunity, neither he want to teach. Therefore, he remains as a Pacceka Buddha, also popularly known as silent Buddha. He doesn't teach. So there are many Pacceka Buddha that have arisen in the world at the same time of a Sammasambuddha. But in a same period, there will be no duplication of two Sammasambuddha. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. So that was quite clearly actually explained. Okay, I shall repeat. What brother said was Arahant is somebody who is enlightened through the teachings of the Samma Sambuddha. Okay, he is enlightened. For us, for the Theravada Buddhists, in a Theravada point of view, Arahant is also fully enlightened. Okay, but he got his enlightenment through the teachings of the Samma Sambuddha. That means by practicing the Eightfold Path, and by realizing the Four Noble Truths. So that is Arahant. A Pacceka Buddha is also a self-made Buddha. He also doesn't have a teacher, doesn't have a theory to rely on. He also practices on his own, and he is fully enlightened. There are some views here, like brother Kevin is saying that he's between Arahant and Sammasambuddha. We can accept the views, but there's another view that Pacceka Buddhas are also fully enlightened. Okay, the only difference is he did not go out to teach. Okay, keep this statement in mind. Later we will see the difference later. So Pacceka Buddha are also fully enlightened, but he did not go out to teach. He was enlightened. He experienced the bliss of enlightenment, he went into Nibbana. That's all. He did not teach lah. Okay. And the Samma Sambuddha is like our present Buddha. He also was fully enlightened on his own. With no teachers, nobody taught him all those things. There's no messenger to tell him anything. On his own, he was enlightened. And after that, he pursued and shared his Dhamma. Okay, he went round to share his Dhamma. So that is the difference between Pacceka Buddha and the Samma Sambuddha. He went round to teach the Dhamma, otherwise the Dhamma will be wasted lah. Okay, so that is about Sumedha lah. So you understand now lah. Because there are times where some people say that Sumedha he could have been an Arahant, you know. But if he's an Arahant, he will not be reborn, you see. Correct? Because he's also enlightened, but he shouldn't be reborn. But because he has vowed, he's so inspired by Dipankara Buddha that he wants to be a Samma Sambuddha. His attachment is still there. His attachment of wanting to be a Samma Sambuddha held him back from being enlightened. So he continued his life until he was reborn as Prince Siddhartha, and that was his final birth, and he became a Samma Sambuddha. That is the difference. Okay. So any question there?
Hi, Brother Tan.
Yeah.
Pei Ling here. I just a bit confused here. You mean there were how many Buddha before our Buddha?
Actually, there are millions of Buddha before Buddha.
Millions.
Yes. But
So
except
why
that,
there's only one Buddha that as in teach us the Dharma lah, is it?
oh, okay. I thought you were coming to the 7 Buddhas only. Okay. From our point of view, actually, there are millions of Buddha because this world was going. I mean, this world is not short. There is no beginning, there is no ending lah. Because it's so far that it's so difficult to describe. The Buddha didn't describe the how the world was created or whatever you call it lah. Okay, but you see, the Buddha also described that our life, we have been living our life, so many rounds of life that our tears can fill the ocean also, you know. That is the number of lives we have been living lah, billions and billions and eons lah. So during these billions of eons and eons, there are many Buddhas. Okay? And the Buddhas will only appear. Buddha will only appear when it is the dark ages. That means there is no more Dhamma. When there's no Dhamma, then only a new Buddha will appear. So now, you don't see so many Buddhas because in our era now, there are 4 Buddhas in our era actually. But let's not talk about the 4 Buddhas. Let's talk about the final Buddha that's with us. So our era, our present teaching now is from Sakyamuni Buddha, Gautama Buddha. That is our teaching. Okay, our teachings are from him. Now, when this teaching is completely destroyed, when these teachings are no more there, then the dark ages, as we call it, then Maitreya Buddha will come. So Buddha will only appear. In our theory, the Theravada theory, there's only one Buddha at a time. There is never 2 Buddhas.
Oh, I see.
Okay?
Because sometimes I've been asked how many Buddha were there, is it? So that is an unknown answer lah.
Yes, but okay. But if you base on certain suttas, the Buddha only referred to 7 Buddhas.
7, including him.
Yes. He goes back to 6 Buddhas before him, that is Vipassi Buddha. Vipassi Buddha and up to him. But that does not mean that there's no Buddhas beyond that. Because Dipankara was number 24 before him, you see.
Sorry, you said Dipankara Buddha is number 24.
Yeah, before him.
Oh.
Okay, you assume that the Buddha is number 8. Okay. Buddha is number 8. So the first Buddha, you hold on, let me show you I think I have it. Okay. You see, I've got my thing blocking me. How do I get this out or not? Let me try to get all this. Oh, okay. The first Buddha in our Atta Visati-Parita, the first Buddha is Tanhankaro Mahaviro. Tanhankaro, the great hero, Mahaviro, the great honor. Medankaro Mahayaso Saranankaro Lokahito. Dipankaro Jutindro. So that is the four Buddhas. Okay, that is the four Buddhas before our Gautama Buddha. Dipankaro. Dipankara, the illustrious light. Dipankara Jutindro. Right? Before Dipankaro, there's one Saranankaro, there's one Medankaro, there's one Tanhankaro.
Okay.
So these are the 28 Buddhas that we always chant and recite their names lah. Okay, there are some controversies here. Some people say there are only 7 Buddhas lah. No such thing as 28 Buddhas lah. But if you ask me, I will tell you there are millions of Buddhas lah. But before Tanhankaro, there's still some more Buddhas. Does not mean that this is comprehensive, you know.
I see.
Okay.
But our existing Buddha, we always say Buddha. Actually, he got the name lah. Gautama. Yes. You're saying?
Yes. Gautama Buddha. Gautama Buddha is in Pali lah. I will use more Pali words than Sanskrit here lah.
I see. Okay.
Gautama Buddha. Hold on, I'm trying to. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to get rid of my screen so I can. Okay, hold on. Okay, our last Buddha is here. Number 7. Look at you can see my cursor, isn't it? Okay,
yes.
Can you see yes. So number 7. Number 7, stanza number 7. The last Buddha is Gautamo Sakya Pungavo.
Okay.
Kakusando Sattvaho Kona Gamano Renanjaho Kasapo Siri Sampanno Gautamo Sakya Pungavo. So we are now learning the Dhamma from Gautama Sakya. Sakya is his clan lah. Gautama is his Sakya is his race, sorry. Gautama is his clan lah. Okay.
Oh, I see. There's so many words here all referring to the same person. It's like a long name.
No, these are the 28 Buddhas. These are all the different Buddhas. He is here. He is Gautama Sakya Pungavo, number 28.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so in our belief, in the Theravada belief, in the Theravada practice, we focus on the 28 Buddhas lah. We start with Tanhankaro. And then we end with Sakya Gautama.
I see.
One is called Maitreya lah, Maitreya or Maitreya Buddha lah. After the Dhamma is destroyed, when the Dhamma is completely destroyed, let's say there's no more Dhamma now, there's no more people talking about Four Noble Truths, there's no more people talking about Eightfold Path. That is the Dark Ages. That's the definition of the Dark Ages, when there's no more Dhamma. Where people don't believe in rebirth, people don't believe in the law of karma, they don't believe in impermanence, they don't believe in not self. That is the Dark Ages. So when all our Dhamma is completely destroyed, then only the next Buddha will appear. So the next Buddha is Maitreya Buddha. And he will teach the same thing all over again. All these Buddha taught the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. Because this is the truth. Truth cannot have two, correct or not? So the truth, so all of them taught the truth. So all of them taught the same Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, the law of impermanence, the law of karma, merits and all those things. Same thing is being taught by all these Buddha. Once it is completely destroyed, then they will appear.
Okay, you're saying like, let's say number 1 got 4 names in the bowl. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4 lah. Number 2 also got 4. That's why number 7, Gautama Satya is number 28. Okay, now I understand. Okay,
so the one in bowl are the names lah. Tanhankaro, Mahaviro.
This is 1, and then this one is another 1.
Yes.
This one 3, this one 4. Okay, understand. Thank
Okay.
you.
Brother Tan.
Okay. Yes.
Brother Tan, I'm very confused.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Just now I heard you say Buddha is the 4th of the 28 Buddhas.
No, okay. I was saying that Dipankara is number 4, earliest 4.
Oh, Dipankara is number 4.
Yes. Okay.
But
Okay, his name is Dipankara, correct? But here we put Dipankara because of their grammar lah. This is grammar lah. Grammar, I'm not going to cover grammar for you all lah. You come to when I teach a bit of Pali chanting, then we will discuss that. Okay, Dipankara is here. Okay, but here we call it Dipankara lah. Okay. Yeah. So he's number 4 from Tanhangkaro.
Oh, I see. Okay. And then you say this is during the period of Dipankara. So Dipankara is before Buddha, Gautama.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. There are conditions for a person to become a Samma Sambuddha. Among the conditions is that a former Buddha, a former Samma Sambuddha must predict that you will be the future Samma Sambuddha. That is one of the qualifications. Otherwise, they will not be a Samma Sambuddha. So that is why it is important that we know the history, so that we know that Gautama Buddha has been predicted by Dipankara Buddha that he will be the future Buddha. So that is one of the qualification, one of the rules to be a Buddha. I hope I didn't confuse anybody now. The only problem now is I don't know how to make. Oh, okay. Now I can see. Okay. So we'll go back to our previous screen. Okay, so we have covered this part. The only thing is my problem now is my screen is being blocked by your images. How do I get rid of this? Oh, okay, I can. Okay. I can a little bit. Okay. We are not so savvy lah. Although I've been teaching this for the past 3.5 years, I still have to struggle with my computer. Okay. So no question on Sumedha now. Okay. So his life history, of course, Prince Siddhartha has lived long before Sumedha also. Don't think that Sumedha was the start. No. He has lived many more lives beyond this. But we have to start somewhere lah. So it starts with the period of Dipankara. That is the purpose of this one. Okay. Okay, then we start about the birth of the Buddha. Anybody has any more no questions? So I hope I did not confuse any of you all now. Sometimes I go a bit fast, I understand. So Buddha Mahamaya's dream. Remember, one night Queen Mahamaya dreamt that a white elephant came and into her body, correct? And then, of course, she's the queen, Then, of course, told the husband, and the husband got all the wise men to interpret this lah. What do you mean by the white elephant came to my wife's body lah? So they interpreted that she will be carrying a child lah. She is pregnant lah, in short lah. Okay. And then she carried Prince Siddhartha for 10 months. Normally it's about 9 months and few days, isn't it? But for the case of Prince Siddhartha, Queen Mahamaya carried him for 10 months. Okay. So how do you interpret this lah? If anybody wants to explain more on this, or we just okay, I will quickly explain to you all. Okay. The elephant is quite significant here. The elephant went to the mother's womb, and then she became pregnant. So it's quite significant. What will mean that actually it was not conceived by the father. That is not from King Suddhodana's sperm, in short. Okay. And then also, you see, one of the qualification again, one of the qualification of the mother of Prince Siddhartha, of mother of the future Buddha. One of the qualification is once she is pregnant and carrying the baby, and she becomes very virtuous, and then she will not have any more sex with the husband. These are the qualities lah. And then she will not fall sick, and she become very healthy, and all those little things lah. These are the qualification or the rule. We call it the rule that happens every time. This is not an invention, neither is this a fairy tale, but these are actual happening for the baby Buddha lah. Put it this way, easy to understand. Correct? So whenever there is a Buddha whenever there's a woman who carries the future Buddha, that is even when Maitreya Buddha has to come to appear on earth, that is when it's the Dark Ages, he will probably reside in a queen's womb. And the queen will dream of a white elephant coming to a womb. These are the rules of being the Buddha, not a fairy tale. Okay, this is found in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. Okay. So how to interpret this? We interpret that actually, yes, after that she will not have sex with the husband anymore. She will just avoid and then she becomes very virtuous. She will become very polite, very nice, very virtuous, very kind. Her personality will change completely and that is the qualities of the mother of the lady who carries the future Buddha. Okay, then we go back a little bit on this. Okay. The Buddha was born on a full moon day. We use this date, 623 BC, although this is very contradicting. A lot of people giving a lot of new dates now. Fine, but we stick to our books. The book says 623 BC. Your exam, you say 623 BC. Okay? Although there are some controversies, I know people have calculated in such a way with basing on Ashoka's when they declared him a king, and the minus 280 and all those things. But I'm not coming to that. So, okay, full moon day on May 623 BC. This was during the time of religious and social transformation. Remember, I explained to you earlier, when people began to doubt and dispute the Brahmanic system. B-R-A-H. When people began, I cannot click. So when people disputed the Brahmanic Vedas, okay, those days they have a religion then. Don't forget, the religion is called the Brahmanic religion. So they have got the 4 Vedas, the Rig Veda, the Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda. Okay, then many people began to dispute these Vedas because, like I've said earlier, they are only praising God and only doing offerings and rituals, and there's no teachings, And then the Brahmin priests, the Brahmanic priests, they are born into that position, So once you are in the family of a Brahmin, you become a Brahmin, your priest, your children become priests also, So that's what people are not happy about that. They think something is not right So many people left their home those days. It is a common practice those days. That is a culture then. That many people, once they have set, when they were young, they studied hard. When they were middle-aged, they worked, and then they start a family. And then when they have a family, they make sure they raise the family well. And when the families are already ready and independent, can look after his wife, he will leave home to become a Shramana. That was the culture then, during the time of the Buddha. So that movement is called a Samana movement, or you see the word Shramana, it is from Sanskrit. Okay, so many people went over and joined the Samana movement. That's why sometimes you see they describe the Buddha as Samana Gautama. When before he became the Buddha, they call him the Samana Gautama. They mean ascetic ascetic Gautama. Okay. So according to legends about the birth of the Prince Siddhartha, the baby walked 7 steps. And on each step, a lotus flower appeared at his feet. And at the seventh step, he stopped and declared, hold on, I got to get this out. It's blocking me. He stopped and declared, where am I now? Okay, I am the chief of the world. Eldest am I in the world. Foremost am I in the world. This is my last birth, and there's no more coming to be. Last birth means he will be enlightened in this life. But when you're enlightened, you are not reborn anymore. Okay? So now, this story about 7 steps and all that, just now brother Kevin was saying, yeah, you remember I was asking you all, do you choose to believe this or just rub it off as a fairy tale? How many of you will choose to believe that he walked 7 steps when he was born, you know? You see? You know, how many of us would choose to believe, oh, these are all fairy tales to beautify Buddhism, you know, putting colors here and there, you know? Okay, any opinion? Do you think this is true or this is just a fairy tale to add in and to make it look so nice? You know,
Brother Tan, with today's technology and all, the young people will not believe this.
Yeah, correct. Okay. Okay, so one is saying that this is not true lah. Okay, very good. Very good. Now, again, if I ask, how many of us have the opportunity to be born during the time of the Buddha to be able to see this The Buddha only appears once in many, many, many eons, you know. Eons means billions of years So, of course, it is such a rare happening and birth of a very special child. I think it is true because this is not a daily happening, not an ordinary birth. You look at the mother was standing, mother gave birth to him standing, okay? Okay, this is a story and this is not a folklore. Now, the mother qualification of a Buddha, again, this is a qualification of the Buddha. Again, this one is you refer to the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. The Buddha described it very clearly that every Buddha, when they are born, the mother will give birth standing. Okay? Now, the normal birth will be sitting or lying down, but when the Buddha is born, and then the Buddha will not touch the ground when he's born, the Devas will come and receive him, and then hand it over and declare to the mother or the king that you have a child. Okay? And then again, there are many, many things that happens. There are many things that happens. And also that there'll be 2 streams of water falling from the sky, one warm water, one cold water, and mixed, and the baby will be washed. And the baby is not stained. No blood stain on him, he's born very clean. So these are the things that, of course, today's people will say this is all folklore. Go ahead. We are not disputing, but I'm just trying to reinforce that these things are from the sutta. And this is not man-made. It is in the sutta described by the Buddha himself. Described by the Buddha himself how the other Buddhas were born. Vipassik Buddha was born this way. So all the Buddhas in the tradition are born this way. Mother standing clean and walk 7 steps and declared that he will be the chief of the world. That is in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. Okay, you want to discuss more? We can discuss later. I think we move on. So do you choose to believe this or rub it off as fairy tale? I have. Yeah, sorry.
To interrupt.
Yep.
You said this from the sutta.
Yeah.
Do you mind quote this sutta? I mean, for our reference so that we can also use it.
Yes, Mahasatipatthana Sutta, MAHA.
Yeah.
PADANA, Mahasatipatthana, meaning the great lineage. Maha is great, Padana is lineage. So in this great lineage sutta, you will see that the Buddha described all the Buddhas going through the same process. They all go through the same process. It's in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. And Buddha started with only the 7th Buddha before him. He started with Vipassik Buddha only. From Vipassik Buddha, 7 Buddhas he described to you. He didn't describe 28 Buddhas. Neither did he describe the millions of Buddhas lah. Too many lah. He only stopped at 7 lah. Okay, Brother Leong.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Tan,
Okay.
Brother Tan, can I
Yeah.
interrupt? I think brother was asking this Mahapadana Sutta. We
Yeah.
have to check in the internet under Digha Nikaya 14, under Mahapadana Sutta. Digha Nikaya, Digha.
Okay,
Sutta.
long discourse.
Yes, it's
Ah,
under the long discourse. The details are ordered.
yes, it's a very long sutta. Yes, Mahapadana Sutta is a very long sutta. So all the long suttas are found in Digha Nikaya, means long discourse. Nikaya. It is important that we refer to the Nikayas and refer to the suttas now, because these are our reference point now.
Excuse me to interrupt, Brother Tan.
Yeah,
Is Digha Nikaya 14, is it?
I didn't put it somewhere, but I can check for you.
I heard
That's
something.
correct.
Ah,
Digha Nikaya 14.
yeah, okay.
Thank you very much.
You read it carefully, read it very, very slowly. You see, one thing about reading the suttas, sometimes we don't have to quote you all like that, but you start reading and then, well, it's good when you read, but you can read it many times and you'll understand it differently each time you read, you know. You find that the meaning, you have the in-depth meaning later. Slowly, you read it slowly, you will understand the surface, then when the next time when you learn something else and then you read it again and then you'll find that it's different and you read and read and read. That's what I do. Each time I read the sutta, I find another meaning in it. You know, it takes a long time to really decipher. The other way that I will say that I will defend about the Buddha walking 7 steps is by quoting the niyamas lah. The niyamas, according to Buddhism, there are 5 orders or processes lah. We call it niyamas, which operate in the physical and mental realm. Not only karma, you know, we always talk about karma. Everything we blame on karma. Karma overrated lah. You know, everything we blame on karma, which is not true at all lah. So there are 5 orders of processes. Uttu niyama, physical inorganic order. Sometimes things happen because of physical inorganic order. For instance, earthquake and flood and all those things those are under Uttu niyama, the physical inorganic order. You don't blame on karma lah. When somebody gets involved or gets trapped in the earthquake, we say it's karma. Karma doesn't cause an earthquake lah. Earthquake is called physical inorganic order, which is classified as Uttu niyama. Okay? And then sometimes we are born small, we are born fair, we are born tall, we are born thin, you know, and then we blame again. No, nothing to blame again. It is because of your bija niyama, not your karma again. The karma doesn't determine you're born tall or thin or short or fat or dark or no. It is due to your genes, the physical organic order, which is your genes actually. So don't blame it on karma that you are fat, or don't blame it on karma when you are short. There's nothing to do with your karma. It is your bija niyama. And then about the 5 orders, one of the order is, yes, we agree, it is due to karma. That's called karma niyama, order of act and results. Okay, act and result, that is only one. 1 out of 5, 20% of what happens to us is due to karma. 80% is not. And then one we call the Dhamma Niyama. It is the order of the norm. Like we said, you know, the Buddha walked 7 steps, you know, and then when the Buddha passed away, there were a lot of flowers falling from the sky, beautiful scents around, you know, it smell nice, smell sweet. This is all we call this the order of the norm, the Dhamma Niyama. When special happening in the world, when there's a great person being born or great person passing away, and great means the Buddha's level, And then you have this kind of Dhamma Niyama. We have this special happening only when it is a very great happening. Okay. And then last but not least is called the Chitta Niyama. It's all due to your mind. Order of mind or psychic order. It's all because of your mind. That's all. So don't always blame on karma. It is overrated. There's only one that is due to karma. There are 4 others that's not karma. So 20% only is karma. So don't blame everything onto karma. So for the Buddha's case, I would say it is Dhamma Niyama, order of the norm. When a special person is born, we get special happening. Yes. Okay?
Brother Tan,
Yep.
just now you are saying that earthquake, all these natural disasters, tsunami, all these are
Yeah.
the first niyama. But what
Yes.
about accident, like those, are they because of karma? Like this person bang into this person and cause his death, or this MH370, one pilot crashed the whole plane go down.
Okay.
Is it because of the there's some relationship between them?
Okay. Technically, we don't have the term called the group karma, they call it sometimes collective karma, sometimes they call it. I've heard of sort of statements when aeroplane crash, collective karma. But there's no classification of collective karma in any of the Buddha sutras, So we still blame it onto the pilot error. Right? Pilot error, and you don't call it the karma. So normally for this sort of happening, we would say, when the plane crashes, it must be a mechanical failure or pilot error. Okay? Not because of karma. We will not want to use the word collective karma. Sometimes people say, collective karma. All ngam to die already, all go on the plane, ngam all die. I think no. I don't think so. I do not know. But we don't find it in the books. Okay? Then earthquake is all under physical inorganic order. Sometimes shifting of the earth causes an earthquake, things like that. Not because of your karma, our karma is so strong they can rock the whole world. No, I don't think so. So this is more on the physical inorganic order. Movement of the earth causes earthquake, yes.
Okay.
Causes a tsunami, yes. Earthquake causes a tsunami, yes. But not karma.
But what about like personal, a car crash into some unexpected thing, fall down from the, you walk and the thing fall down and hit the person on the head and the person die, or the person just drop inside the sinkhole. So this one also consider physical inorganic order?
Sometimes it is people's error. Sometimes it is mechanical error. Sometimes it is, we won't call it karma. Maybe just the car.
I see.
We don't classify because there is no classification. So I don't want to reinvent because I know a lot of people are saying that but I don't see that, because when you come to classification of karma, I'm not covering that. If you come to classification of karma, there is no such thing as those things under karma. It doesn't happen that way. There is no classification that says that, to die in earthquake is a karma, to die in this is a karma. There's no such qualification. Of course, sometimes it's contradicting. What I say can be contradicting. Because there are cases where I understand where you're coming from also.
Okay, thank you.
I have no definite answer for that. Sorry, sister. Okay, so then ascetic, asceta. Ascetic is samana. The word samana is an ascetic also. I don't know how many of you have heard of asceta. Asceta is asceta is also known as Kala Devala. Kala Devala. So when he heard, he was actually in the forest. He's a very renowned ascetic there, very, very powerful, renowned ascetic. So when he heard that the Buddha was born, Prince Siddhartha was born. So he went over to the palace. Okay, we read through some of the tell the story. Asita is also known as Kala Devala, predicted the Prince Siddhartha would become a Buddha. Feeling very happy, then cried in sadness. Why? Asita was part of the movement that were against the Brahmanic practices that led them to the forest of Aranyakas or Samanas. Okay, Buddha is referred to as a Samana. Sometimes they call him Samana Gautama. It was a tradition then that one has provided enough for the family, then one should leave home to join the Samana movement. Because those days they're very unhappy with the Brahmanic priests and all those things, So Samana movement began around 800 to 600 BC, when the new philosophical group who believed in a more austere path to spiritual freedom rejected the authority of the Brahmins, the Brahmanic priests. So the Samanas those days, they practice austere kind of path, They do a lot of self-mortification, They torture the body. They think that the body is the cause of all unwholesome activities. The body is the cause, they say. But the Buddha said otherwise. Okay. Okay, coming back to Asita. Asita is a very powerful samana. So when he heard that the Buddha was, Prince Siddhartha was born, he went over to the palace and requested to take a look at the baby. Okay, when the baby was given to him, he looked at the baby. The baby has got a lot of special features. We will learn that later, I guess. So when he saw the baby, he was very happy. Oh, he was very, very happy for the baby. And then suddenly he cried. Now the question here, number 3, I say why? Why did he do that? He was so happy in one instant, and then suddenly he was so sad and he cried. So they asked him, now, Gautama, Samana, why you look so happy just now and suddenly you cry? He says, I am very happy because this baby Siddhartha will become the Buddha. Okay? And I am very sad because I will not live that long to hear his teachings. Okay? He will miss the Buddha's teaching. That's why he cried. He knows that the Buddha will bring the truth. He's very happy. Then he cried because he will not benefit. He's an old man. By the time the Buddha becomes enlightened, he's dead and gone. So that's why he was very sad. So that's why I ask you here, feeling happy, then he cried. Why? So as part of the movement, they were against the Brahmanic practice. I told you that they were all very unhappy with the Brahmins. So they all went over and then they all went. But unfortunately, their way of doing is all on self-mortification. They torture themselves, austere, don't eat, fast. Sometimes they eat as little as 2-3 grains of rice a day, So they torture themselves because they believe that the body is the cause of all the unwholesome activities. That's why the Buddha taught them otherwise. Later the Buddha says that's wrong. It's not the body, it's the mind. The mind is the cause for all unwholesome and wholesome activities, not the body. Okay? So, this is the ascetic. So you don't confuse yourself with the naming ceremony. Okay, we'll come to that. So these are ascetic asita. Now we come to the naming ceremony, isn't it? This I've covered with it. Okay. Asita's not the naming ceremony. Okay, remember, Asita's visit is not the naming ceremony. Remember, we have got 2 special visits. Asita came alone on his own. So if the question is asked, but this will only appear in the objective question. 1 mark only. Be careful that Asita is a very prominent ascetic who visited the Buddha on his own, not on invitation. He heard about it, he went on his own. Then the king invited 7 prominent ascetics, 7 prominent ascetics to come for a naming ceremony. So the king wants to name the child, then invited 7 prominent ascetics and asked them, what do you see in my son? What do you see in him? So so many ascetics were invited. 7 prominent ones raised 2 fingers. They all raised 2 fingers, meaning they say that this baby, this child, will either become a universal monarch or he becomes a Buddha. Universal monarch means he becomes the King Ashoka, very powerful king. Or he becomes the Buddha. Definitely he has got great future. Then out of the 7 prominent one of them only, 6 of them raised 2 fingers and say that he will become the Buddha or a universal monarch. One only, the youngest of them is called Kondanya. You look at the word Kondanya, number 2. Kondanya only raised 1 finger. He says that he will definitely become the Buddha. Okay, so now what is a universal monarch? Universal monarch is among the 4 classes of people deserving a chetya, a stupa. You see, in the tradition those days, there are only 4 prominent persons who qualifies to have a chetya. Okay, a chetya is a pagoda. Like you go to Myanmar, you see a lot of people have got pagoda in the compound where they keep all the relics, all the ancestors' relics are there. But in the good old days in India, they only these 4 prominent class of people deserve this chetya. 1, the Buddha. Number 2, Pachaka Buddha. Number 3, Arahant. Number 4, universal monarch. No, universal Buddha. That is wrong. Universal monarch. Or universal monarch. Okay. So this is the thing. Example of a universal monarch is King Ashoka. And now he's a very powerful king. Then he's a universal monarch. So the prediction that Prince Siddhartha will either become a universal monarch or he becomes the Buddha. But Kondanya only raised 1 finger. So objective question, they may ask you, who was the ascetic who raised 1 finger? So it is Kondanya. Not Asita. Asita didn't attend the naming ceremony. Okay, Asita went very much earlier, saw the baby, he went back to his forest, he went back to the jungle. Okay. And then during the plowing ceremony, the plowing ceremony still happens in Thailand, Laos, and all that. After the harvest, then they have a ceremony there and all those things. So you read through this, the plowing ceremony is when they first saw the baby Siddhartha sitting in meditative mood. He was actually enjoying the jhanas when at a very young age, they saw him sitting. But there are many stories about this. There are stories that say that the shade didn't move even when the sun moved. The shade was still there for him. Macam-macam stories Okay. So okay, but this is when he actually experienced his first jhana when he was a big, small, young baby, young toddler. And then there's another incident. This incident is actually, he has a cousin. His cousin is called Devadatta. Okay, you can see my cursor. Devadatta is his first cousin, but they are always fighting, these fellas. Step brother, I think. Always. Okay, they are same age group, so there are a lot of conflict. So one day Devadatta actually. Wait, let me see what I wrote. Then let me see what does it belong. Okay. Okay, so Devadatta one day shot a swan, shot a bird, and then the bird fell down, and then Siddhartha took the bird and nursed the bird. Now, Devadatta says that this bird, I shot it down. It belongs to me. Why are you keeping it? So they had a big quarrel. So they went to see some wise people to settle the problem and say that who should this bird belong to? You see, even when Prince Siddhartha was young, he was very, very, very sharp, in his thinking, So when he had to face all the wise people, you know what he asked them? To whom does life belong? To the savior or destroyer? He asked them. All right? Because Devadatta said, I shot the bird, that I shot, it's mine. How come Now, how come Siddhartha is claiming that he's his? And then Siddhartha nursed the bird, So Siddhartha brought up his case and asked that question, to whom does life belong? To the savior or destroyer? Then all the wise men realized it should belong to the savior, not the destroyer. So, okay, this is one way of telling you that he excelled in other. You see, when the Buddha was young, I like to tell this to youngsters also. He is a very good speaker. Okay, he's a very good debater. So he presented this case very well. He studies very well. Don't forget, he is also a sportsman. Prince Siddhartha was also a sportsman. He excelled in archery, horse riding, and other physical sports. So I always tell the young people that not only your studies, you must be inspired by the Buddha. The Buddha was good in his oratory, good in his debate, good in his studies, but he also excelled in his sports. Don't forget. Life is more than just studies, Okay. So briefly, what does it tell you? So briefly, it tells you that the Buddha excelled in both his studies and his physical sports. Then, of course, at the age of 16, he married Princess Yashodhara. Okay. Of course, story of why he was married young and all that, I didn't know. Okay, this is basically to show you how they are related on the father's side and the mother's side, So Sakya is this race. Then this is where this is not the Queen Yashodhara. Sudodana, his lineage is here. It starts with Sudodana. His father is Sudodana. Okay. Then his mother is Maya. Correct? And then he got Siddhartha. And Yashodhara got Rahula. Okay. Now, then his auntie is called Pijapati Gautami. Okay. Pujapati Gautami also had Nanda and Sunandari Nanda, Terry, And then this is all his lineage his. So Devadatta is also here Yashodhara is here. Okay, so they are actually related Yashodhara and Prince Siddhartha is related Okay, so this is just for you to understand how the relationship between Devadatta and Siddhartha and Pujapati Gautami and Ananda. Don't forget, Ananda is very important personality here. Ananda, Mahanama. Okay. Okay. This mother side will be the mother. Oh, we got it wrong. The mother is from Kolia. Sanjana was Sakya. Now the Kolia, the mother is from the Kolia. So mother is born here. Yashodhara. Siddhartha Rahula, this is Yashodhara is here. So the mother's on this side. You look at the table later then we come to the four sides. Okay. You need a quick break or you ask some questions before you go to the four sides. I'm sure you all are very familiar with the four sides We will just go through quickly and then you can come with your questions things that the controversies maybe the four sides. The old man, the sick man, a dead man, and ascetic looking calm and serene. The first three sides convincingly prove to him the inexorable nature of life and the universal ailment of humanity. Why do I, being subject to birth, being subject to decay, being subject to disease, being subject to death, being subject to sorrow and impurities, thus search for things of like nature? So this is the three side. Why? Why must we be born and grow old and fall sick and die? So realizing the worthlessness of sensual pleasure, so highly prized by the worldlings, and appreciating the value of renunciation in which the wise seek delight, he decided to leave the world in search of truth and eternal peace. The foresight signified the means to overcome the ills of life and to attain calm and peace. Urged him to join the Samanas movement. Samana, remember the word Samana? To seek the truth. It was a tradition then when one has provided enough for the family, then one should leave home to join the Samana movement. Samana movement began around 800 to 600 BC when the new philosophical group who believed in a more austere path to spiritual freedom rejected the authority of the Brahmins or the Brahmanic priests. So that's why they all joined and became a Samana. Okay, anybody has any question with the foresight? I think there's not be a lot of discussion here on foresight if you want. Sometimes people ask, you mean they say that the Buddha is so big, until he's about 20-something years old, 28 years old, he has not seen an old man, he has not seen a sick man, he has not seen a dead man, But yes, of course, he has lah. He has, correct? So we have to be very tactful. Sometimes when we talk to children, we can talk like that lah. But sometimes we have to be more tactful lah. It is the foresights, that triggered him to leave home. Not that he has not seen the foresight, because one way that I find it easier to understand if I say that he saw this foresight at the same time lah. You see, we always see old man, but we don't correlate old man with sickness. See, sometimes, correct? And we see a sick person, sometimes we don't correlate with the dead person. And we see a dead person, we don't correlate with the samana. So things like that lah. But sometimes it's easier to understand if we say that he saw this foresight in one go lah. He saw an old man, and then he saw a sick man, and he realized, hey, young man, you go old, you can fall sick, Then you fall sick, you're not cured, you die. Correct? Then you realize that there is a lot of people seeking the truth, trying to find out this truth, truth about life, you see. So this was what that triggered him to leave his house now, to leave home. Not because he had never seen him. First time he saw the old man, first time he saw, I think it's quite difficult to swallow lah. But because these things, when he saw it together, then it triggered him that this is suffering lah. That of course those days they also believe in rebirth, correct? So he kind of correlated that he should think, why are we born and become born and then grow old again and fall sick again and die and born, So he wants to find the truth, find the solution. His purpose is to overcome suffering. His purpose of leaving home is to overcome suffering. He thinks that there's a lot of this type of unnecessary going through all over again for eons and eons and billions of life, So that is why after these foresights, he thought that he should also join the Samana movement to find the truth. But he never did lah, because when he joined them, his enlightenment did not come from his association with any of his teachers. Right? That's why he's a Sama Sambuddha. Remember, we say Sama Sambuddha means he was enlightened on his own. Okay? So that is how the foresights affect him. So you can explain that way, how the foresights. The question they ask you is not about the foresights. Okay, name the foresights. Maybe you can say, well, now then you saw the foresight. Question here is, why and how did the foresights attracted him or distracted him from home life? Right? That prompted him to leave and to find the truth. Okay, any question on foresights? Or any controversies? Anybody want to say something? Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. Oh.
Brother Leng Huat,
Yes.
Rachel here. Sister Rachel here.
Yes, Rachel here and Winnie also raised hands. Okay, yes, Rachel.
Yes, Brother Leng Huat, this foresight, some of the teachers, including some of the venerables, did mention that this is actually not cited in any of the sutta. It's not basic. Some say they actually Buddha went off from home. It's like middle of the night, and then like sneak out. But some say it's when the parents are crying, then he actually left.
Yeah.
So for the sake of exam, I believe this is the foresight should be in for the sake of exam. Yeah, is that correct? Let's talk about the exam first.
Okay, agreed. Okay, not fully agree lah, but okay, 50% agree. Okay.
Yeah, then the controversial part is like it's not cited in any of the sutta.
That is not completely true lah. I do not know. Yeah. Okay. The controversy here is, I think, okay, wait, okay. So okay, I understand your controversies. You say that it's not cited in any sutta, isn't it? Okay, Sister Rachel, am I right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. I will come to that. Okay, now let's see what Sister Winnie has to say. Sister Winnie, you raise your hands. Sister Winnie Kang. Okay, Sister Winnie. Okay. Then we come back to Sister Rachel. Okay, I'm sure not only Mr. Rachel, I'm sure many of us have heard this controversy. People are saying that the Buddha did not leave home because of foresight. He didn't see the foresights. This was cited by Buddha Vipassi, correct? Okay. But if you go okay, anyway, never mind. I'm not here to contradict Venerable who said this. I'm not here to contradict him. But I am in the opinion that we should read the Mahapadana Sutta very, very carefully. Okay? Read the Mahapadana Sutta very, very carefully, word by word, and you will find that, of course, he saw the foresight. I'm not contradicting Venerable, you see, they are saying that this was only, they're quoting Buddha Vipassi, correct? Vipassi, okay, good. Now, what is the meaning of Mahapadana? Okay, Mahapadana is the great lineage of the Buddha. Padana means lineage, sister. Maha is great. So that means, again, earlier we have said that all the Buddhas are born, all the mother of the Buddhas gave birth to the future Buddha in a standing position. That is the rule, they say. In the Sutta, it says that is the rule, okay? All Buddhas, when they are born, all young baby Siddhartha, when they were born, they all walk 7 steps. That is the lineage of the Buddha. Okay? That is the rule, they say. That is the rule. Now, and all the mothers that carried the Buddha in the womb carried for 10 months. This is the lineage of the Buddha. All Buddhas go through the same lineage. Now, they did not mention that the Buddha didn't say that that is the rule, they all must see the foresight. Because if you read carefully, sister, read carefully. Buddha Vipassi, during his time, his lifespan was 80,000 years. Okay. Now, the olden days, the more you go backwards, the more backwards you go, the longer actually was the lifespan, During the lifespan of Vipassi Buddha, okay, I'll go faster. We don't have to worry so much about this part. But okay, during the lifetime of Vipassi Buddha, they live as long as 80,000 years. Everybody lived to average of 80,000 years. during the time of Prince Siddhartha, the Gautama Buddha, people hardly achieve 100 years. Like now, today, we hardly can get 100 years. Correct. And lifespan is becoming shorter and shorter. The prediction by the Buddha is lifespan is getting shorter and shorter. One day you'll find that children are getting married already. You know, the minute they reach puberty, they get married. Because life will become shorter and shorter. Because this, if you refer Vipassana Buddha's time, people live for 80,000 years, and now we only live for 100 years. That is why the word there, this is, the rule is not there. Because the lifespan was different. Lifespan cannot be controlled in a sense. So it was different. Anyway, let's not come to this controversy. But go ahead. If you choose not to agree that the foresight that triggered him, go ahead. Okay, but for the purpose of the exam, I agree with you that you better say so, because if we base on our book, the Buddha and his teachings, it is that way. He left because of foresights. Okay, Sir Rachel?
Okay. Roger, brother. Roger.
Yeah, I know it's quite difficult to comprehend at the moment, but it's okay. You read slowly, I have, because you see, this controversy, actually, I've been looking into it for quite long also. So I don't think it is, I'm not challenging, because I have full respect for Venerable. I'm not challenging anybody, but we base on the book better. Let's say that we base on the book. Don't base on my opinion. Okay, man. Okay, sister. Okay, any more questions, please?
Brother Tan, while waiting for Vinny to type, can I ask, you mentioned the book Buddha and his teaching.
Yeah.
What is the author? Who's the author?
The author is Buddha and the teaching is Narada,
Narada.
Yeah.
Brother Leng Huat. Winnie is asking, you were saying which Dika Nikaya number for Mahapadana Sutta?
Yeah, you told them just now, isn't it?
Which Sutta number? Oh, okay, DN14.
DN14, I thought you said, isn't it?
Okay, DN14.
Correct?
Correct, Leng Huat? DN14.
Yeah, okay, you just type in Mahapadana, then you'll appear actually also.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, it is 14 just now, somebody was mentioning, isn't it? Yeah. It's in Digha Nikaya, it's a long sutta, yeah. Read slowly, read slowly. But there are many things that the Buddha says are not useful to waste time about. The time put to practice, the Buddha says better. Okay, Brother Leong, you want to say something just now? Oh, the book only, isn't it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the book only. Yeah.
Okay. So can I carry on?
Yes, you can carry on.
There's another question.
Okay, then the great parting came. The great parting came. We'll go a bit beyond this since I have time. The great parting, the Buddha didn't see sometimes. Okay, now I read through first. Opening the door of the chamber, he stood on the threshold and cast his dispassionate glance on his wife and child who were fast asleep. Great was his compassion for the two dear ones at his parting moment. Greater was his compassion for suffering humanity. Okay, for the suffering humanity, for the suffering. Okay, I cannot change now. He was not worried about the future of worldly happiness and comfort of his mother and child, as they had everything in abundance. They were well protected. It was not that he loved them less, but he loved humanity more. Now, people have said that sometimes you hear critics say that the Buddha was very irresponsible to leave his wife and a newborn child behind, isn't it? That he's a very irresponsible person. Prince Siddhartha was very irresponsible for abandoning his wife and his child. Now, any comment on that statement? Carry on, please. Do you agree with that statement? Do you agree with that statement that the Buddha was irresponsible? There are a lot of chat going on. Let me see. Roseanne from Malacca. Hi, Roseanne.
Hi, Brother Tan.
Okay. Has anybody to defend or to say anything about this statement that Prince Siddhartha was very irresponsible to leave his newborn child and his wife? Anybody want to say anything about that?
He loves humanity more.
Yes, good, very good. Yeah.
And he knows that the wife and the child will be taken care of.
Yes, correct. Very good. Yes. Yeah, that was the culture then. Sister got it right. The culture then, like I've said, the young men will study when they were young. When they were middle age, then they go to work, and then they make sure that they get married, they have a child. And then when the child and the wife is well taken care of, the earlier you can leave home to join the Samana movement, the better it was those days, That's how they gauge your success lah, in a way lah. So it was a tradition then, not because he was irresponsible. And of course he loved humanity more lah, So when he knew that he had given his wife a companion, earlier on he couldn't leave, the wife was alone. Now he knows that his wife has a companion, and then knows that the wife is well taken care of because she's the princess, and that there's nothing to worry for her worldly needs. Then only he left home. So he also calculated when he should leave lah, not on the spur of the moment. Okay, so he knew that it was time to go. Then he joined the movement. No? So he is not he's not irresponsible, but because he loves humanity more. Because he wants to overcome this. So we must emulate his kind of good things that he has done. Because you see, that's why we know that he left. Opening the door of the chamber, he stood there on the threshold and cast his dispassionate glance on his wife, and the child was fast asleep. It wasn't easy for him, at the moment, not easy. But he had to do it, because of his love for humanity. Because he wants to find a solution to overcome this suffering. So that is why he does it. Okay? So we must be inspired by him lah. Okay, we'll continue a bit. I think I still have a bit more here, isn't it? Lesson 2. What do I have on lesson 2? Oh, okay. Okay, so leaving home, there are a few things you need to know lah. The few things that you need to know leaving home is, of course, there is a ceremony lah. When they become ascetic, there's a ceremony lah, a simple ceremony to return his belongings to his father, and then he start the homeless life as an ascetic. He cut his hair, all his jewelry, all those two expensive things that he was donning as a prince, he returned. The names you should remember here. For the higher, they won't ask you lah, but for the senior, sometimes they do junior. These are popular questions lah. The charioteer's name, this gentleman's name is Channa. Okay, Channa. His horse has a name. The horse is Kantaka. Kantaka is the name of his horse. And the river that is nearby there, when he gave, is called Naranjara. Anoma, some people don't agree with Anoma. Never mind, we use Neranjara, river Neranjara. And then these all happened in Uruvela in Magadha. Magadha was a very, very big, powerful country then. Today, they are only states lah. We call it province lah, but like those days, Magadha is a country. The king of Magadha, the king of Kosala, and all that. So Magadha is a very, very, very powerful kingdom during the time of the Buddha. So these names you try to remember. They make in the objective question they may ask you. But in the junior one, sure got lah. Junior they sure to ask you lah. These 4 names you have to remember lah. And then when he left home and he was walking at the kingdom of Magadha, I will introduce to you only this king only. I think we probably would have stopped here. Okay, there is one gentleman called King Bimbisara. King Bimbisara was a very powerful king then. So when King Bimbisara heard that the Buddha renounced and is now an ascetic, he went to see the Buddha. So this King Bimbisara, he went to see the Buddha and say, I give you half my kingdom, you go and rule my kingdom. You don't marajo and leave your kingdom, He thought that the Buddha must have marajo and quarrel with the father, and then just left home, become an ascetic. So he told the Buddha, you take half my kingdom. So this question may come out. The king who offered half his kingdom to the Buddha, to Prince Siddhartha. So when King Bimbisara heard that Prince Siddhartha was an ascetic, passing by his kingdom, he went to see him and offered him half his kingdom. King Bimbisara said, you take half my kingdom and you rule, okay? But the Buddha did not accept, of course. Then the Buddha, of course, didn't accept it. Then he made the Buddha promise 5 things. He told the Buddha, made the ascetic Gautama to promise to return to Rajagaha to preach the sermon to him in person when he was enlightened. So he told Prince Siddhartha, if you don't want to manage my kingdom, you promise me this. If you have found the truth, you must come to see me in person, to preach to me in person, because I want to learn in person. Okay? Because King Bimbisara has 5 wishes. Okay? King Bimbisara has 5 wishes that when he was the prince, first he was a prince and is now fulfilled. So his first wish was to become the king of Magadha, which he was the king. It's fulfilled. Second wish was that a fully enlightened one should visit his country. That he has not fulfilled. So he says, I have 5 wishes, okay? My first wish was to become the king, and I am the king. It's fulfilled. My second wish is that the fully enlightened one should visit my country. You see, later the Buddha visited the country. The Buddha promised and honored this, And the third wish, he says that third wish was that he should associate with such an enlightened one. He says, I want to associate with such an enlightened one. Then the fourth wish was that the enlightened one to preach the doctrine to him. I want to learn it directly from him. Okay? And his fifth wish was that he wished that he should understand the doctrine. Correct? Okay? So when the Buddha visited Rajagaha, when he was enlightened, and then he preached to the king, and the king became a Sotapanna. Sotapanna means first entry, and the king became a Sotapanna. So that is the 5 wishes of the king. They may ask you this question to elaborate, but I don't think they will for you all. But it may appear in objective questions again, may. But in the long question, no, I don't think they will ask you this. We will guide you on the questions.
Brother Tan, you said Sotapanna is what I missed.
Okay. Okay, for the benefit of those who are new, there are 4 stages of, in our English is sainthood. Okay, 4 stages of sainthood or 4 stages of enlightenment. Correct. First, you must become a Sotapanna, meaning in English is called a stream enterer, meaning you will give up. You will give up rites and rituals. You will know that this offering of this, offering for this, offering for this is all not true and not correct. You will give up all these rites and rituals. Okay, you don't perform rites and rituals for some material benefit. Okay, and then you will not deviate. You will have complete faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Okay, so these are the qualities of the first entry. So before you become fully enlightened or become an Arahant, in our case it's Arahant because we're learning from the Buddha. The first stage of enlightenment for us is to be a Sotapanna, that is called a stream enterer. Then once you're a stream enterer, you only have maximum of 7 rebirths before you become an Arahant. Maximum of 7 rebirths. And then after that stage, you become a Sakadagami. The Sakadagami is called a once returner. That means you will return to become a human one more time only before you are enlightened. That is Sakadagami. That means you have also given up a bit of your ego. Ego is the most difficult to let go lah. In all our qualities, ego is the most difficult to let go. Then when you have achieved this Sakadagami, you become Anagami. Anagami means non-returner. That means you'll be born somewhere and then you practice and you become enlightened from there lah. Okay, so that's called Sakadagami, Anagami, non-returner. Then after that, the final stage is you become an Arahant. You are enlightened. You go to Nibbana. So these are the 4 stages of enlightenment, you can call it, but in English, we call it also, you can call it 4 stages of sainthood if you want. Yeah. Okay, sister?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I think we will stop here. We can just have a chat and then, okay, all these are the 10 King Bimbisara, I will explain a little bit. No. Okay, I will focus more on life of the Buddha, like King Bimbisara and all these qualities. I may not go in detail because this will be covered by the other sections. The other sections are covering some of the personalities, so they will go in full. If they don't cover, then I will cover. Otherwise, I will just give brief notes like that, enough for you to understand how the Buddha speaks. King Bimbisara is one of the greatest benefactor of the Buddha. His son is, of course, not so clever what to do. Okay, never mind, don't worry. Okay, so I will end my sharing and let us get to know each other better. How do I end my share? Okay, stop share. Okay. So I have done a lot of talking, so now it's your turn. Anybody want to say anything? It's nice to see a lot of people that I know. The Biang, Linda is with us. Who else? Yeah, so anybody else? Anything?
Brother Tan,
Yeah.
just now we have a short. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Just now we have a short debate on Prince Siddhartha, who left the family quietly at night. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I didn't hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's some interference behind the. So somebody is talking and then the screen is. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Brother Kevin. Yeah, sorry.
Just now we had a debate about Prince Siddhartha quietly left the palace.
Yeah.
The parents are known, not knowing he left. The wife was sleeping.
Yeah.
This is part of the stories I think carried in many Buddhist literature. I refer this Nikaya. It's called Majjhima Nikaya 26. It is known as the Noble Search under this name called Pasarasi. Majjhima Nikaya 26, the Noble Search under Pasarasi. Okay, I read a very short passage from this Nikaya. Sometimes later, while still in black hair, blessed with youth, that is what Siddhartha said. In the prime of life, though my mother and father wished otherwise, wiping with tearful faces, I shaved off my hair and beard, dressed in orchid robes, and went forth from the lay life to homelessness. This passage from Majjhima Nikaya clearly states that Prince Siddhartha did not leave the palace at night while the wife sleeping, the mother, father sleeping. No, he actually in full face told them, I am going to be a samana. So therefore, he shaved off his hair, and he dawned on the robe. So this is under Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya 26. It's called Noble Search. His search to end death, to end rebirth. Thanks.
Okay, brother, we agree with you. Yeah, correct. Yeah, there are controversies with all this lah. We agree. Yeah, there are some controversies. Again, like I've said lah, we have to read between the lines very carefully. But nevertheless, it is not so important lah. Certain things are like what sometimes the Buddha. See, people ask the Buddha also, how the world was formed and all that. Sometimes the Buddha don't answer lah. It was so complicated lah. So the Buddha sometimes prefer not to. The Buddha says use that time to practice lah. So yes, there are controversies. There are controversies to this life of the Buddha. Like I've said, we at the moment we just focus on our textbook. For the exam purposes, focus on the textbook. The textbook also cannot be wrong lah. Okay, and then also later on, when you have an in-depth understanding of the Dhamma, maybe you can go through the suttas more thoroughly lah. Because like I've said, each time I read the sutta, I find the meaning to be different, to be more, I understand it more in depth lah. Sutta is not to be read like a storybook sometimes lah. Not only once as a storybook lah. You read again, and then when you have improved yourself a little bit more on the knowledge, you read again and again and again, and you find that the meaning is different lah. It will imply something else lah. Of course, brother, you are right in quoting this Noble Search Sutta lah. I have read it also lah. Yeah. You are right. Thank you very much for highlighting, but nevertheless, those are not so critical for us at the moment lah. Because we want to discuss controversial things lah. I have touched on a bit, but I think I should not today. When to touch on what the Yap said earlier, I shouldn't actually. Okay lah. Okay, sometimes we can, but sometimes we don't lah. Because we just focus on. Actually, what is important in Buddhism is not knowledge lah. Buddhism is not about knowledge. Buddhism is about practice. Remember, Buddhism has 3 ways of learning lah. 3 ways, 3 methods. You are familiar with the word pariyati, patipati, pativeda. Remember, pariyati, patipati, pativeda. Sometimes I just go off the cuff, because of this question, patipati, pativeda. Now, this is the three methods of learning Buddhism, 3 levels of understanding Buddhism. Okay, because it's about practice. Buddhism is not about learning. The Buddha doesn't have a doctorate degree, yet he was enlightened. The Buddha doesn't have a string of doctorate degrees, but he is enlightened. So that number 1 way of understanding Buddhism. We go to temples, you find that they have this slogan called Pariyati, Patipati, Pativeda. First is Pariyati is knowledge. You must first know, correct? Agreed. So this knowledge comes from reading, correct? From reading, from listening to Dhamma talk, then you get this knowledge. But what use is this knowledge? What use is this knowledge? It remains as knowledge unless you put it to pariyati, you put it to pati-pati. Okay, pati-pati means you put it to practice. Correct? Then when you do, you must practice what we know. We talk of compassion. Buddhism is a religion of compassion. Buddhism is a religion of love. All religions are religions of love, and not only Buddhism. But how many of the people are practicing love and compassion? Not many lah. So that's why the Buddha says now when you have that knowledge through the Dhamma talk and through reading, you must put this knowledge to practice. Correct? And after you have put this knowledge to practice, through this practice, then you will realize the meaning of the practice. Correct? Then you will realize. So the realization comes after you put all this knowledge to practice. That's why we say it is called knowledge, practice, and realization. That is Buddhism. It's Pariyati, Patipati, and Pativeda. Okay?
This is
Of context, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's very good sharing. Because as you know, our textbook come from maybe later Buddhism, whereas the Nikaya come from the early Buddhism. So there are probably some additions, thoughts from the senior monks in the later years after the Paranibbana of the Buddha, that new ideas are being incorporated into the teaching. So therefore today we probably have more than one or two versions. Yeah. So it is also good to know how the early version looks like, how it says, and what you need to produce in the examination to win your marks.
Okay.
Thanks.
Agree, brother. Okay, thank you. Yeah, brother is saying that we have to also understand what is in the early Buddhism. There's a definition called early Buddhism lah. Early Buddhism, they only based on the sutta, more on the sutta and the Vinaya lah. So they don't really refer to the Abhidhamma and all those things lah. But that's not early Buddhism lah. So there is a category of early Buddhism. Okay, we agree. Yeah. Okay, but the early Buddhism cannot be wrong in that sense lah, because they are basing on the suttas. Okay. While sometimes people will say that some are later addition lah, some are addition lah. Okay, fine. Then we will accept all this lah. But accept what you think is good for you. The Buddha's guide is simple lah. The Buddha's guide for us is accept what is not good for what is good for you and not good for others. Don't accept. Okay. The Buddha says don't practice things that are good for you and no good for others. That is wrong. Don't do it when it's good for others and no good for you also. Also wrong, the Buddha says. Only do what is good for you and good for others. So as a guide for us, we will read the text and see what is good for us, good for our spiritual development. We accept. But I think that's the better guide lah for us, because we are not scholars, so we just have that kind of simple understanding lah. Okay, so we have exceeded our time. If there is no more question, we should end now, isn't it?
Brother Tan.
Yeah.
Pei-Ling here. I have a question, but it's not relating to the topic that you teach. But it's about chanting. Can I ask this question?
Yeah.
Actually, I send my son to the Buddhist school every Sunday, and they have a practice of chanting. Like the first, there's the ritual lah. The first about 20 minutes you have to chant, and then all the words, most of it, we chant in Pali. Then after that, we chant in English. So they find it like, what's the point of chanting? What's something that they don't understand is they felt it's like a waste of time. How do I respond to that?
Okay, 100. I agree with them actually, sister. Now our job is I conduct a lot of chanting classes. Now we have to remember this. Okay, for the children, they say they don't understand what's the purpose of chanting lah. Agreed. Now we will tell them this. Actually, all the Buddha's teachings, briefly lah. All the Buddha's teachings are kept intact over 2,500 years ago. How? They was not written down until about 100 years later, isn't it? Until they were written in singular about 300 years later. It was written. Okay, never mind. So the Buddha's teaching was kept intact for so many years. How? Through chanting. Chanting contains all the teachings of the Buddha. All the teachings of the Buddha are kept in the pristine state through chanting. Because during the time of the Buddha didn't write it down. The Buddha taught them by memorizing from word of mouth. That is called the Panaka system. The Buddha recites it in a very poetic manner to teach them. Then they will listen in a very poetic manner. They go and teach to the people in the same poetic manner. That is how it is kept in its pristine state. If it was written in a prose way, it will be jumbled up today. Example, I give a nice example. I am now 74 years old. I learned Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. I learned this when I was 5 years old, 70 years later, I still remember. Because it is in a poetic form. Okay? So that's why I remembered. So that is how the suttas are written. The suttas are written in a poetic form so that whoever listens to the Buddha will try to memorize it and go down back to their own community, and they'll continue with the same way of dispensation. So the teachings of the Buddha is kept in the pristine state by or through chanting. So chanting is a very important aspect of Buddhism. Okay. Now, of course, they don't understand. They are young. If they want, they can learn. They can learn all the Pali grammars today. But maybe for many of us here, we don't have the time to learn. Never mind, sister. What I do in our class is, for every stanza that we chant, I will tell them to identify one or two simple Pali words. Then at least we know, this stanza is reminding me of Mata Pitu, reminding me of parents. I know parents. That means they're talking about must love your parents, must respect your parents. So that's how we make it interesting. You need not have to understand every word that you chant. But at least in every stanza, we try to get an idea, grasp one or two words. In every stanza, you grasp one or two words, and then it will help you, sister. And then it will help you to understand better. Now, for the children, it's very simple. We start with Namo Tassa. That means we praise the Buddha, the fully enlightened one. Why? Because we are grateful to him. Tell them. We say Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Praise ye, the most enlightened one, the respected one, because we are grateful to him. Correct? Then we go to Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. We're taking refuge in the Buddha. Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. We are taking refuge in the Dhamma. Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. We are taking refuge in the Sangha. Why? Because when we take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, we have transformed ourselves to be a better person, or we promise to be a better person, So that's how we are attracted to chanting, And then we say Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Why? We are saying that we want to refrain from unnecessary killing, meaning to say that we want society to be safe. When you don't kill me, society feels safe. Correct? If everybody start plundering, society feels very unsafe. So we tell them like that. We encourage them. When we say that Adinna Dana Veramani, I don't want to tell Adinna Dana, I don't want to tell lies. Musavada, don't tell lies. Adinna, don't steal. Don't steal means we feel secure at home. Correct? When we say that I abstain from stealing, from killing, we feel secure. From stealing, again, we feel secure. So we are making society secure, a very secure place. These are the positive aspect of this precepts. So when we say we don't kill, we don't steal, we are very safe. Don't worry, you go out, you put your things behind, nobody will steal. Correct? Then we say kamesu, no unnecessary kind of sexual misconduct. Again, the the breadwinner feels safe when he goes to work, knowing that the spouse at home is very safe. There's no hanky-panky going on at home. You see, so actually this precepts make us feel safe, make the society feel safe. Correct? Then we say musawada, we don't backbite people, we don't tell lies. So again, society feels safe. Don't worry, we will not be telling lies. Like that, sister. Correct?
Okay, yeah. This is a very good way to explain. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Come to our class when I'll be starting a new one. New recruit maybe after Chinese New Year, maybe after Vesak, because we are very busy at the moment, Hands are full now. Okay, thank you. Okay, anything else? Otherwise, we just end, brother.